Imagine walking into a room and just instantly knowing there is nobody else in there quite like you. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on why a tiny handful of people become absolute superstars, while, let's face it, the rest just settle for average. As we dig into the science of excellence, you're going to learn exactly what it takes to outpace your competition and break right out of the middle of the pack. So let's just dive right in. You really have to ask yourself, are legendary figures like Steve Jobs or Michael Jordan just incredibly lucky? Were they just born with this unattainable natural talent? Or is there an actual actionable mechanism behind their massive impact? I mean, why is it that in huge fields like sports or business or science, true legends are so exceedingly rare? In technical terms, we call this the outlier effect. Think of it kind of like a towering mountain peak that just suddenly rises out of a completely flat plain. While the vast majority of people hang out right there in the safe middle of the distribution curve, a rare few shoot way, way off to the extreme side of success. But the real question is it actually possible for a regular person to make that massive leap?
Let's look at the math of success and unpack Price's law. We're going to ground all this motivation in some absolutely mind-blowing mathematical reality to prove that this is definitely not just random chance.
What's truly crazy here is the sheer imbalance of it all. Price's law dictates that in literally any arena, from business to sports to classical music, half of all the results are generated by a shockingly tiny fraction of the people involved. Specifically, it's the square root of the total number of participants. And this law applies just as much to the number of goals scored in a pro hockey league as it does to authors writing bestsellers. It's everywhere.
Let's look at what this actually means in the real world. Say you have 100 salespeople in your company. This law mathematically proves that just 10 of them, the square root of 100, will generate half of the total sales. That means the other 90 people are left scrambling to fight over the remaining half. So if you want to be world-class, you have to find your way into that tiny elite group at the top, where the competition effectively just vanishes.
The crucial point here is understanding exactly why that huge crowd stays stuck at the bottom. It comes down to this: mediocrity scales exponentially, whereas excellence only scales incrementally. Being average is incredibly easy to achieve, and it multiplies fast. Think of a massive stadium concert. You got tens of thousands of people chilling in the crowd, but only a tiny handful sweating it out on stage. Excellence requires this slow, painful differentiation that most people simply will not endure.
Moving on to the mindset of excellence, drawing on some ancient wisdom from modern mastery. Now that we know the math is quite literally rigged for the few, we've got to transition your mindset so you can figure out how to access that elite tier yourself.
The real secret to escaping mediocrity lies in this amazing piece of timeless wisdom shared by King Solomon and passed down through generations. He said, "Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might." It sounds incredibly simple, right? But it represents a total, uncompromising commitment to your craft, no matter how small or insignificant the task might seem in the moment.
You absolutely must throw yourself into your work with total commitment and intentionality. What this means is acting with a deliberate GPS-like purpose instead of just, blindly drifting through your days. It's the difference between intentionally planning your morning routine versus waking up and immediately doom scrolling on social media. You might be asking, is it really that simple? Well, yes, but almost nobody actually does it. It is so rare you couldn't spot it under a microscope.
Which brings us to a really tough question. Are you settling for just enough? We've got to destroy this scarcity mindset that tells you to only aim for comfort. It's like owning a high-performance car and always keeping the gas tank barely above empty. If you stay locked in that cage of comfort, sooner or later you're going to run dry, and it completely robs you of the ability to ever help anyone else.
Next up, execution over comfort and the mechanics of getting there. Let's move out of the mindset space for a second and break down the brutal everyday mechanics of actually executing at this crazy level of excellence.
To rise above the average, you've got to master 3 specific steps. First, decide. And hey, fun fact, the Latin root of the word decide literally means to cut off. You are making a true decision to cut off all escape routes back to mediocrity. Second, implement. Turn those big ideas into actual action. And third, relentlessly follow through. You have to stick with it, even when failure hits you square in the face. Because remember, failure isn't the end. It's just data telling you exactly what to tweak for tomorrow. Now you might be thinking, but what if I'm not naturally gifted? Or what if I feel like the total underdog? Well, let's explore the effort paradox, where we see how effort actually wins over talent. The effort paradox proves time and time again that bringing your absolute best effort will consistently outshine natural talent, physical strength, and yes, even luck. By putting in the grueling work day in and day out, you build up this unstoppable compound advantage over time. As the old saying goes, the race isn't always to the swift or the battle to the strong. You build that compound advantage through what we call deliberate practice. Now, this isn't just mindlessly hitting golf balls at the driving range while casually listening to the radio. No, this is focused, highly goal-oriented repetition precisely designed to push you right past your current limits. This right here, this is the exact dividing line between the people who just dabble and the absolute monsters who completely dominate their field.
Think about it this way. Amateurs are completely satisfied the very first time they succeed. They practice until they finally get it right once. But professionals? Oh, they grind through deliberate practice until they reach a state of unconscious competence. They practice until they literally cannot get it wrong, so they can perform flawlessly, even when they are under massive, crushing pressure.
And as you engage in this kind of intense practice, remember an absolutely crucial rule. The goal of all this extreme effort isn't just the money or the outward recognition it earns for you. It's really about letting the work on you. It's about that deep, personal transformation, the mental resilience, and the internal growth that builds up inside of you as you trust the process.
To sustain this incredible level of execution over the long haul, you need a high-stakes source of urgency to keep you moving forward. So let's look at mastery and mortality, the ultimate urgency.
Okay, I know this sounds incredibly heavy, but it is deeply, deeply powerful. We're talking about mortality motivation. It's the stark, sobering realization that our existence is actively expiring. Recognizing that your time here is strictly finite is honestly the ultimate tool to stop you from postponing your absolute best. It forces you to stop wasting precious time and fuels this intense, laser-like present focus.
Because your time is literally running out, you have to ruthlessly guard your attention. Let's get into intention versus distraction and how you choose your focus.
The make or break point here is how you navigate your daily choices. Highly successful people hyper-focus on their intention, that internal GPS guiding them to move the needle forward. Average people, on the other hand, they obsess over distractions. They take these massive detours that literally steal years of their lives. Look, if an action doesn't move the needle in your favor, or for the people you serve, it is a detour, period.
So to summarize everything in this explainer, entering that legendary tier means you are finally willing to actually pay the price for excellence when everyone else won't. You fundamentally trust that deliberate effort beats natural talent over time. And finally, you execute with intense urgency, using the cold hard reality of your limited time to absolutely crush your distractions. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought today. If you knew for a fact that you only had 1 year left to live, how would you show up differently today? I challenge you to pick just one area of your life right now. Make the hard decision to go all in without any half measures and ask yourself what would actually happen if you truly executed with excellence. Your legend starts right now.